In this video, I'm going to show you a trading strategy that only requires 10 or 15 minutes of your time per day to bring in a significant income and not require hours of time on the charts. This is great for average people who just don't have hours every day to spend on the charts and want something that is actually manageable and realistic to follow. So I'm going to go over the strategy and test it 100 times in a row so you guys can see how the strategy itself performs. But the main concept of this video is the style of trading where you only need to check for signals once per day at the daily candle close. So I'll get more into that, but let's get into the strategy and I'll show some examples before getting into the 100 tests. The strategy itself consists of three indicators. We have the super trend, the 200 period exponential moving average, and the stochastic. Now this super trend indicator, I'll go ahead and show you which one I'm using since I know someone will ask. It's by Kevin Ozbilgic. Yeah. Also the stochastic, the normal stochastic, we have default settings here, 14, 3, and 3, and then everyone knows the 200 period exponential moving average. So the rules are as follows. You can only take a long position when price is above the 200 period exponential moving average and the super trend is green. You can only take a short position when the super trend is red and price is below the 200 period exponential moving average. An entry signal is given by the stochastic cross, and that is it. Any cross on the stochastic. It doesn't need to be oversold or overbought. Now stop loss placement is going to be a little bit interesting, so let's get into some examples here. So we get a cross up right here on this candle, which means we're going to be entering a long. But where do we actually place our stop loss? Well, we look to the lowest point of price between the last cross down and this cross up, which would be this candle. So we have the cross down right here, this cross up right here. What's the lowest point price goes between those 2 points? Right here. So our stop loss is going to be just below this candle's wick. And the profit target for this test is going to be 1.5 times the risk. Remember, this is the daily time frame. So these are significant moves, 227 pips. All right. And same thing, we get another cross up right here on this candle. That is another entry. And let's take a look. What's the lowest point price goes before we get the cross up? And it's actually on this entry candle itself, so the stop loss goes just below there. And once again, we're targeting 1.5 times the risk. I'll go ahead and go to the next one. It looks like we do get a cross up right here on this candle. So this would also be an entry. And then we have to take a look. Where does the lowest point go on price when before this cross up right here and in between this cross down? Well, it's actually on the entry candle once again. So it's going to be right there and targeting 1.5 times the risk. Okay. So that is how the strategy works. I'll go ahead and show some short examples real quick before I get into the 100 tests. All right, so here's a couple short entry examples. So remember, we're looking for super trend to be red. We're looking for price to be under the 200 EMA and then a stochastic cross down. So we get our first signal over here on this red candle. And our stop loss, remember, we are looking for the highest point price goes in between the last cross up to this cross down. So it looks like we have the cross up happens right here. Our highest peak will be this candle. So there's our stop loss, targeting 1.5 times the risk. And looks like there's another entry right on this candle as well. And another one would be right on this candle. And I'll just show those just so you fully understand how the stop loss is getting placed. So with the cross down here, We're looking again for highest point price goes between this cross up on stochastic and this cross down on stochastic, which would be on this candle right here. So stop loss is going to be placed right above those candles. And again, targeting 1.5 times the risk, or at least that's the risk reward I'm going to be using for this video test. All right, so I think that's enough for showing examples. It's a very simple strategy and very objective. So there's no subjectivity to it whatsoever. And it's time for the 100 tests. Okay, the results are in after the 100 tests and they're good, so let's check it out. Now this was done on the daily time frame, which makes it perfect for the average person who just doesn't want to spend a bunch of time on the chart or simply can't because they have a full-time job. Something like this on the daily time frame only requires a 10-minute, 15-minute scan per day, and that's it. You don't need to spend any more time looking for signals or messing with your trades. So this is really catered towards the average person out there, since 99% of people can't just spend their whole day looking for signals on the chart or be available at all times to get signals for those lower time frame strategies. So now let's get into the results. This was done using a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward ratio on euro against the US dollar, and it took 4.5 years of price data to find the 100 trade signals, which is actually very low for a daily time frame strategy test. There were 52 winners and 48 losses. The most won in a row was 7 and the most lost in a row was 6. The gain on the account was 30%, and that's risking 1% per trade. I would recommend stepping it up to that 2% mark to bring that gain on the account figure up to 60%. Now, this isn't 60% for every 4.5 years. This is only tested on one currency pair. So of course you're going to be trading probably around 28 currency pairs or even more depending on what you trade. So you're actually going to have very significant gains even trading on the daily time frame. And of course, I always recommend taking any strategy I show through the optimization process. I have a video, I'll link it in the description. Some of the newer people to the channel probably haven't seen my video on the 5 steps to strategy optimization, because it is one of my older videos. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen my 5 steps to strategy optimization video, because any strategy needs to be taken through the optimization process to maximize the results. As you know, in these videos, I'm simply just throwing a fixed risk reward ratio on it, and I'm not trying any sort of different things out on it to improve the results. So check out that video for sure. Now I'm gonna pop it up on the spreadsheet and we can see how it compares to other things. Here it is on the spreadsheet, falling at spot number 30 out of 64 strategies tested on the channel so far. So doing pretty well, especially considering how simple this strategy is. You know, comparing it to some of the top performing strategies that use hidden divergence or regular divergence, where it gets a little bit subjective, this one still does pretty good considering how it's completely objective. Now, obviously it hasn't been taken through the optimization process, but if you did, you could definitely improve the results for it. But you know, the main concept of this video is to talk about the daily time frame, where most people, you know, they can't trade the lower time frames because they actually have things going on throughout their day. They can't always be there to catch all the trade entry signals. So for the daily time frame, you only need to check in once per day at the daily candle close. So 10 or 15 minutes, scan for entries, and that's it. Now, if you can't be there for the daily candle to close, you know, get there as close as you can to it. But it's going to be unfortunate if you are somewhere where, you know, you can only be there 12 hours away from the close, because that's not going to be ideal for your entries, but you could still make it work. Obviously you just need to test it out and see what works. But anyway, that is kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about with this video, is using a daily time frame for the average person who wants to get some significant extra income into their life without spending tons of hours per day on the charts. So you can do it with any strategy. It doesn't have to be the one shown in this video. You can test any of the strategies I've shown out on the daily time frame, and it's the same concept. Make extra money, not spending a ton of time on the charts. That's really what the concept is here. So that's pretty much it for the video. I'm just going to go over a quick life update here. So right now I'm in Costa Rica. I've been here since May 7th, May 8th, something like that. And I am just waiting for my wife to arrive in Costa Rica so that we can both go back to the Philippines and finally move there. The unfortunate part was that her passport expired at the worst time possible, so she had to wait all this time to get her passport renewed. That way she can actually come here and grab me. Then we can both fly back to the Philippines together, because now they're requiring me to be with her if I want to travel to the Philippines, even though I already had a spouse visa. And it's just kind of a mess of a situation. But anyway, talking about the channel and the content, obviously I normally upload videos more often, but just being on such a weird kind of messed up schedule right now, I just don't have my routine down, and I really like having a routine. So once I'm back into my routine and settled into the place in the Philippines, hopefully it's not too much longer. Who knows with all the restrictions and regulations, but just hang in there, guys. Well, the content will be back to normal. I'm going to be doing the FTMO challenges, of course, with different strategies. And yeah, sorry for the delay, but I appreciate you all for watching and hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.